Hello people of the internet, my name's Paul Jeffrey, you are watching RETV and the warmest of warm welcomes to our latest edition of the show. We're in Formula 1 2019 by Codemasters once again, and we're checking out the historic content that forms part of the new game from the British development studio. Now, classic cars are nothing new, haha. Oh dear. The inclusion of classic content in a Formula 1 game by Codis is not a new idea, and in the latest version of the game, the 2019 one, we have once again another wonderful selection of cars from yesteryear in the world of Formula 1 for our driving pleasure. So, a lot of these vehicles return from F1 2018, and there are a few new inclusions as well. If you buy the Legends edition of F1 2019, it's very Ed Senna and Alain Prost orientated, so a couple of the important cars from those two legendary drivers, sadly not the 93 Williams, which is Prost's last championship winning car and one of my personal favourites, but hey ho, are available in the sim. So let's have a quick look before we go out and give them a drive. The beautiful Emerson Fittipaldi 72D Lotus Cosworth, the Niki Lauda-esque Ferrari 312T2, James Hunt's McLaren M23D, the Lotus, one of the most beautiful Lotuses, and I know this is not popular, the 1979 Lotus, the 79 Team Lotus from 1978, another beautiful Ferrari, one of my personal favourites as driven by Gilles Villeneuve, the John Watson McLaren MP4 1B, one of the most dominant Formula 1 cars of all time, believe it or not, akin to Mercedes 2019 Formula 1 Challenge, is the 88 McLaren MP44, winner of 17 of 18 Grand Prix with Prost and Senna behind the wheel that year. Another beautiful McLaren, the McLaren Honda MP4 5B from 1990. Prost and Mansell's 1990 Ferrari F190. Another McLaren very similar to the 90 car, but Senna's 91 vehicle, the last World Championship win for the great Brazilian driver. Nigel Mansell's Williams, who succeeded Senna as World Champion in 1992. R. Damon, love R. Damon, and his 1996 Williams that won him his one and only world title. And Mika Hakkinen and David Coulthard MP413 from 1998. One of the last competitive Williams cars ever, the Williams BMW FW25. Schumacher's all-conquering 04 Ferrari. The car that took Fernando Alonso to World Championship success, the Renault R26. Another very dominant Ferrari, well, no, dominant's wrong word, but Kimi Raikkonen's World Championship winning 2007 car. Lewis Hamilton's first World Championship winning McLaren, the MP423. Another World Champion car, Jenson Button's the Braun BGP001, which is, interestingly, a team that only lived for one season before morphing into Mercedes-Benz from the ashes of the Honda operation. One season, one championship, 100% success rate there. The beautiful Red Bull that took Sebastian Vettel to one of his 4 World Championship successes. The 2010 McLaren, which has not really had a fat lot of success with Jenson Button and Lewis Hamilton. I think they finished 2nd and 3rd in the title race, if I remember correctly. And Fernando Alonso's 2010 Ferrari as well. Now, we're going to go old school cool. And I'm going to go... It's got to be Anna. It's got to be Prost. It's got to be Prost in the beautiful 1990s even Ferrari. Very, 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 very stunning cars. All of these. In fact, let's pay deference to the legend that was Niki Lauda. Why not? Considering his sad passing. We'll do Spielberg. I don't know what any of these things mean, so I've not tried, but we'll go for multi-class duel, whatever that is. We'll do 5 laps. Let's see what happens. Okay, let's go trackside. I will catch you in a minute when we're driving an historic Ferrari and sampling the historic content in F1 2019 for the first time. Okay, so here we go. We've got a field of old school cool going on for 5 laps round the Red Bull Ring in Austria. This is the first time I've took historic cars out, so literally the first time I've done, not even sat in one yet. So let's see how it goes. Although not period correct, I'm using flappy paddles just because I haven't got round to setting up my sequential shifter yet. And I've said before, in F1 2018, I'm not that big a fan of the historic cars in the game. It doesn't feel like Formula 1 2018 was a detailed enough simulation to make this a worthwhile inclusion, and that's not a criticism on the game. That's not the area that they're pitching themselves in at all, and it kind of felt a little bit gimmicky, a little bit canned, as though the car was doing things that it's just been told to do because you feel like it should be like that. But already I can feel these cars in the 2019 version are much improved. This is a very lively Ferrari. It's really softly sprung in compared to the Formula 1 and Formula 2 machines. I can feel it really bouncing around on its suspension much more than I would have expected. I ran a little bit wide because the brakes nor the downforce are as good as I'm used to. Just check I've got nobody behind me, which I haven't. And actually, that opening lap of the A1 ring was quite the eye-opener for me. It's a little bit lazy on the downshift in comparison to what we're used to slamming it through the box in the modern cars, so you have to bear that in mind. The longer braking distances, the less ability to use engine braking to your benefit, more lock required on the corners as well. Basically, just a more mechanical and simplistic and basic driving experience in comparison to the Formula 1 cars of the modern era. As I run a little bit deep, snatch your front brake a little bit, but nothing too dramatic. And you know what? This is not bad. I quite like these. It's not the Assetto Corsa 98T Lotus driving experience or anything along those lines, but they seem to have, Codemasters, from my little bit of time I've spent with this car now, look like they've spent a little bit more time making a more involving driving experience. So I can feel the car at that point there, because I'm going a little bit too fast into the corner and I'm going in, turning in a little bit away from the ideal racing line of the apex. I feel it sliding across the surface much more than I would have expected, actually, and that's quite nice. And actually, this is not a bad experience. I'm quite enjoying this one. It still feels a little bit more numb than I would have expected from a car of this kind, knowing what I know from watching onboard footage and driving it in other sims. Still feels it's a little bit numb to me in what it's telling me, but the bits that Codemasters have obviously looked at and thought to put some emphasis upon, and that would be the suspension and the way the bumps interact with the car, is far more exaggerated than it was in the previous release of these cars. So this section in particular, here at Spielberg, here in particular, you can really feel it going over the bumps of the track, and that knocks you off the racing line, or knocks you away from the line that you're taking, and you've got to really hustle to get it back where you want it to be. This corner where I slid out last time, bit more stable, the rear end's just wanting to come around a little bit on me, which knocks me out of kilter for the last bit of the lap. Not bad. I'll be quiet for a second and let you listen to the audio, see what you think. Not too great, if I'm honest. I think in this Ferrari at least, I've not tried any of the other cars, but the audio's not all that spectacular, if we're perfectly honest. what we'll do is we'll slow down a little bit and see if we can let the car behind catch up, and we'll have another look at some of the other models out on track as well. I'm 6th of 8, so it's only giving me 8 cars in which to race against. Let's have a look what we've got there. Got a McLaren. So, beautiful that. Look how wide. Look how wide the back end of that car is. Stunning, visually stunning cars from this era. You can see all the engine and the gearbox and the suspension. Everything's naked and on show. Pure and unashamed. Mechanical, visual glory going off there. The sparks kicking up underneath the car. The big, thick, slick Goodyear tyres. Yeah, that's how motor racing should be, peeps. Very nice indeed. Force feedback wise, as I say, I've told you about how I can feel the difference. You can see the car actually as it's reacting, the McLaren in front of us, as it's reacting to the bumps and bouncing up and down much more than you would ever see in a Formula 1 or Formula 2 car. I'm going to come off the throttle so we can continue to follow this McLaren and enjoy the visual aspects of the cars. Yeah. The force feedback, again, is very different to the Formula 2 and the Formula 1 cars. It's different enough to give you a feeling that you're driving these older cars. I still think, personally, for me, and this is only my personal opinion, not an officially endorsed Race Department one, I don't see the point of historic cars. They all fit a little bit awkwardly into the world of the Formula 1 video game franchise, but it's cool, I suppose, for people that don't necessarily care too much about the authenticity. They just want the thrill of driving something that Emerson Fittipaldi or Damon Hill, Nigel Mansell or Ayrton Senna, James Hunt, Alain Prost, Gilles Villeneuve, Niki Lauda, whatever. They just want the thrill of driving in the footsteps of heroes of the sport. And in that way, it's pretty cool. I've not engaged yet enough with the career mode to tell you exactly how these fit in. They were the slightly awkward special events in 2018, so let's see if they've done something a bit more engaging this time round. But I think it's fair to say historic content in F1 2019 is a step up from what it was in 2018. Oh, alright, enjoyed that, nice. Okay, hope you like that video. It's only very short and sweet. Give us a like on our YouTube and Twitch channel, and a follow or a subscribe. Catch us on social media. We're on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook and YouTube. And yeah, I've been Paul. This has been RDTV. Press enter, there we go. Until next time, thanks for tuning in. See you later. Sim racing's awesome.